All right, howdy, folks, and welcome to Gridiron Live. I hope everyone is having a good Tuesday afternoon. So we're going to get back to NCAA 2K3, our Texas A&M Legacy mode, which is just Dynasty, of course. In the 2004 season, we have a record of 4-3. We just came off a very disappointing loss against number 20 Iowa State, which was kind of a surprise because we did end up beating Nebraska. And it seems like Nebraska should have been the tougher opponent, but Iowa State certainly gave us the business. So Iowa State had a record of 6-1. Now they're at 7-1, so we'll have to see how they turn out. I guess I can check where they're ranked now. Let's see. How do I do this? Stats, teams. No. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. Our next game is going to be up against Baylor, so we'll see how much tougher or weaker Baylor is in comparison to Iowa State and Nebraska. But before that, let's go ahead and roll the intro.
The right to bear arms is guaranteed in the Constitution, sir.
We're going to hold on to him by the nose, and we're going to kick him in the ass. We're going to kick the hell out of him all the time, and we're going to go through him like crap through a goose.
Roger Vick pounded his way for 11 yards and a touchdown after taking...
We're going to cut out their living guts and use them to grease the treads of our tanks. We're going to murder those lousy Hun bastards by the bushel.
Alrighty, folks. Let's go back to the early aughts and get this game underway. That's not how we do that. Actually, God, I keep forgetting. Is it the season standings? Yeah, there we go. This is what I was looking for earlier. I'm looking for the polls. Right now, Texas is number 1. I want to see where Iowa State is. Iowa State is now number 11 at 7-1. We're down to number 13, down from number 9. Let's look at the media poll. Iowa State is at number 12. So Texas, Miami, Tennessee, and Florida State are the top 4. Texas, Miami, Tennessee, Florida State, yeah. Purdue, though, is at number 11 at 8-0. They're not getting too much respect, though, because their record's probably a little bit weaker, which teams do have to contend with, and it is a very real factor. So that'll be interesting to see how that develops. What is Sega Championship rank? So what does that mean? Is that like a stand-in for BCS? I think that might be what that is. So in the SCS, we're number 14, and the coaches were 13. The media were 14. Poll average 13.5. Okay, schedule strength, that's important. So a lot of numbers to consider here. I'm curious how they all factor in. But schedule strength for SCS. So we're down to 10. That seems really abysmal. It's not as low as Wisconsin though at 3. Huh. I wish it kind of told you a little bit how that was factored in. But anyway. I think we're going to be at home. So we're going to be in College Station again.
Hello and welcome to Kyle Field in College Station, Texas. It's the first week of November and week 11 in NCAA.
Okay, so Baylor is 2-6.
Texas A&M.
Another rainy day here in College Station, but 80,000 in attendance.
Jake, this unit could really rack up some big numbers through the air today as they take advantage of a questionable.
See if I can increase the game audio just a tad. I know this game's a little bit more quiet compared to other ones.
Can be effective rushing the ball, and the question is, will they step up and show this defense?
I forgot to look at Baylor's players.
See how they fare.
Thanks, Jim. Let's head down to the field for the coin toss.
Baylor will receive. That's fine by us.
Number 13 sets up and is ready to kick.
Got my little package notes,
It's off.
which I guess I could just
Number 30.
look at them in practice mode, but
Number 32 comes in and makes the
I haven't
tackle
played
on
this
the
game
return.
since last. So this is what we got.
They've got the ball. Let's see if they can take care of business.
We're gonna go gold. What's gold? Do I have that? 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers.
Ball on the 29.
So I have the intro open on OBS. Close that.
Number 2 from the gun. He's pressured. Throws.
Oh, he throws it, and it's caught.
19.
We go yellow. That's 2 running backs, 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers.
Ball at the 48-yard line. Number 81 will sit this play out. Number 2 will pass again. Number 2.
Oh, that's a, oh no, he shakes him off. He throws it,
Throws. The pass is
and luckily
Number 84 could
he
make
misses
the
that
catch.
throw.
Well, he looked ready for it. Some wires got crossed there. That ball was significantly to the right of where the
Let's
receiver
go. Let's go to home mix. Mix it up a little bit. And green, I believe, is 4 wide receivers and 1 running back. Yeah.
Number 2 from shotgun.
So 1 running back.
Throw down the middle.
A nice catch over the middle. That's a first down.
Looked ahead for a few extra. First down.
0 tight ends and 4 wide
Pass
receivers.
the markers, and that'll get them a new set of downs.
They're going back to green. I have to go nickel here.
Ball on the 41.
Put a little bit of pressure on the QB.
Number 87 lines up left.
It's a run, and they get about 5 yards.
The tackle. That's number 2 on the day.
Nice
I guess more like 8.
Out to the outside.
Dun, 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 dun. 2nd and 2. We're going to go green, so they're going to spread it out.
Ball at the 33-yard line.
See if we can't get a blitz here.
Number 20 lines up behind the quarterback. Number 2 from the gun, throw. Tip. That'll bring up 3rd and short. Number 84.
Okay, it looked like it was a bit of a rushed pass.
Couldn't make the catch. He's gotta be
3rd and
ready for those
2.
sideline passes.
Let's see, what are they going to do? Going to go yellow, so that's 2 running backs. Suspecting that they're going to try to run. Ah,
It's 3rd and 2.
ran out of time. Purdue up on Ohio State.
Number 2 will throw once again. Gets a block. Throws left. He gets the first down before going out of bounds. That will stop the clock.
Okay, now they're pretty much in the red zone. Purple is 5 wide.
Ball on the 20.
Probably should have gone to man.
Number 3 is to the left. Number 2 drops back. He's pressured. Dumps it off. The pass is
Ooh,
incomplete.
good thing he missed that one.
Behind his man, which is a surefire incompletion in this kind of weather.
I hear you, Jim. Maybe it's time to lean on the running game a little.
I agree. The ground is wet too, but at least you know it isn't going to slip away from you.
2nd and 10. The Bears line up with their tight end left.
I didn't catch what package they were in.
From shotgun. He's pressured. Throws. That will
Another
complete,
miss.
and that's their 2nd in a row.
Number 2 was stymied by some great zone coverage there.
He'll be thinking twice before he throws into his yard again.
Going back to green, so we'll go dime. Switch Lucy. Get a little DE-DT action there. We'll go man 2 again.
Number 2 will put it up again. Throws left. Number 84 was the intended
Quick
receiver.
pump fake.
Incomplete.
Number
Still
2
missed it though.
obviously thought he could finesse his pass past the 2 defenders.
Okay, so we get a fourth
Incomplete.
4th down here. I'm assuming they're going to kick a field goal.
Number 31 sets up for the potential go-ahead points here in the first.
42.8%.
It's up.
It's a miss.
He missed it wide right. He's
Alright, so the Wrecking Crew defense bends but does not break.
Failing the field goal there, Jake.
Well, he had a good look at it too, Jim. Something
Let's start out with the ground game and see if
Noonan right before he kicked. That
our
worked
big old number 34 can get some
40-yard line.
yards on the ground.
Number 34 with the carry.
What a shoulder charge. 35, possibly with a touchdown saving tackle right there.
Number 34 lowers his shoulder and lowers the boom here. Take a look. That has got to hurt. You can bet that guy will think twice before getting in his way again.
The offense is really executing on this play. It's their job to keep the defense at bay, and that's exactly what happened.
Let's go green. Kind of mix it up a little bit.
Ball on the 35. Number 34 lines up behind the
We
quarterback.
haven't had a lot of success on the ground.
From the gun. He's pressured. Throws middle.
Good catch. Number 3 with the first down.
Number 3 makes a Let's roll that one again. He splits the...
Good catch. We're going to go back to the ground.
Ball at the 49-yard line. Number 3 will sit this play out. Number 34 with the ball.
34 gets about 4 yards.
Down after a medium gain.
Took the handoff and went right up center. And picked up a handful.
We're going to hit this 64Y curl.
Now second
We're
and
not quite on the left hash mark, but we're going to try it anyway.
number 34
Should still have plenty of room.
behind the quarterback. Number 4 fades back. Oh, great block. Dumps it left. That'll bring up third down.
Number 4 thought his receiver
Okay,
had a
3rd and 6. Let's go green.
too tight.
You've got to admire a secondary that sticks with them that close. It's now 3rd and 6.
All right, tight end, I think, might make a play here.
The Aggies line up with their tight end right. Number 4 will pass again. Throws.
There we go. Wasn't the tight end, but we got it anyway.
They dumped it out right from the shotgun and completed for a healthy gain. More importantly, however, they moved the chains. Nice play.
Ball on the 35.
Let's check out this 2 running back set out of the shotgun.
Number 80 lines up left. Number 4 from shotgun. He's pressured, spirals it left. He's tackled, and that's his second.
Good catch.
of the day.
Nice gain on first down. I can't stress how big an advantage it is when you can get good positive yardage on first down.
Number
I'm going
80
to call a power play here. Just run it up the gut.
Number 34 will run it. Straight ahead for about
And he falls forward for the first down.
Way right, and he picked up a handful to move the chains. Nice job.
So I'm going to go to green package again. A green package is 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end, so I had that wrong.
the Aggies.
I'm going to take a shot to the end zone.
They're moving the ball well.
Change that.
Number 4 from the gun. Throws. They made the
Oh, and number 80 holds onto it. Good catch by Carson. All right, we're on the 5-yard line.
first and goal.
I feel like we should run this one.
Number 80 lines up left.
Norris with the handoff, 34.
Carried this one away right. But he's barely
Gets a couple yards. Not really what we wanted. Let's see, I want something with the tight end. Here he's running, I guess that's an in route.
Look at the accuracy on this drive. He's really in the zone right now. You know, it's hard to beat that kind of completion percentage.
The
Heavy
Aggies
box right now.
3 wideouts. Number 4.
Norris throws it,
is middle.
but it's wobbled.
Good, incomplete.
Number 4 threw that ball well short.
Come on.
You know, that rain is really throwing things out of
I'm not sure my kicker can make this field goal.
Passing in the rain.
Because he's missed like every single one. We're going to go 2 tight ends.
3rd and goal. The Aggies line up in the eye.
Get a little more muscle up on the line.
Number 4 is back to throw again. He's pressured. Number 4 is
Oh, he almost caught it.
4th down.
Number 21 had the ball in his sights, but the pass went way behind him.
Sucks that my kicker's a 74, but can't seem to make these field goals.
Lines up for the first
Look.
quarter lead.
He's attempted 9 and made one. Can you believe that? See what happens.
It's away. He missed it wide right.
Oh, you can't make them all, but boy, you want to make those little things.
I don't get this.
He was close enough to bounce it off his head.
I don't understand that at all.
Between the uprights.
The 57 overall kicker that Iowa State had was doing a better job. Should have just gone for it. Alright, green. What is that? 3 wide.
Ball on the 20.
We'll get into dime. Or sorry, nickel, I guess.
Number 2 from the gun. Short
Here comes
throw.
Baylor, and they miss the throw.
Number 81 was open over the middle. No excuses for not getting a completion there.
Going back to green, I see. Well, let's go. Let's get a little bit of a middle twist. And we'll go.
He's having a rough go of it this quarter. He just needs to settle down and refocus, and the completions will come.
The Bears line up with a single setback. Gets a block.
Oh man, that was almost a tackle for loss. He's still on his feet.
Makes the tackle after several yards on the play.
What's his name? Harper? Harper for 5 yards. Sure, they're gonna go yellow.
It's 3rd and 5.
That's gonna give them 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end.
Number 20 lines up behind the quarterback. Nice block.
It's a handoff.
That'll bring up 4th down.
That play was dropped.
Tackled at about the line of scrimmage.
Go somewhere else and look what happened. It's all about following your blockers.
Number 4 will punt it away after a 3 and out. It's the end of the first quarter, and it's still a scoreless game.
I've noticed that a lot of the games have been rainy this season. I'm looking at the backdrop behind the stadium, and it kind of looks like A&M campus a little bit. I don't know if they actually
After a 3 and out.
model the background as well, or if it's just like generic styles.
It's away. Number 31 makes the catch. Number 26 will make the tackle on the return.
Number 4 was the contributor.
All
For his
right,
team's
so
first
it's
drive.
second quarter,
This time.
plenty of time. Let's see what we got here. Let's go a little bit of a medium to long range pass on first down. See if maybe we can't get a huge chunk of yardage.
Number 4 from shotgun. Throws left. Incomplete.
Not quite.
Got to the outside like he wanted, but then missed the catch and couldn't capitalize on it.
All right, just go to the ground. There's nothing like good old lead blocking from a fullback. Can we bring back the fullback?
Oh, great block.
That'd be nice.
Bring up 3rd and long.
3rd and 13 to put myself into a bind here. Time to go spaghetti routes.
It's 3rd and about 13.
Maybe we can cross enough routes that something will happen.
Wideouts. Number 4 from the gun. Throws.
Nice.
Nice pickup on the 3rd and long, and he gets
So that worked.
down easily. Ball on the 45. Number 83 is wide right.
Looks like they have 3 men down.
With the carry.
4 yards. Not bad. Alabama up on Tennessee. 31-7. Houston is up on Louisville.
Ball at the 41-yard line. The Aggies are in the shotgun. Number 4 from shotgun. Spirals at middle.
Good catch by number 3.
Got several there and picked up the first. Nice pass.
Ball on the 32.
Norris is 6 out of 10 for 81 yards. Not bad. Oh, Norris scrambles, is on his feet. He's still going, he's still going. Oh my gosh.
Way through the defense for a big gain and the first down.
That was a cool play.
Number 4.
So number 4 went for the handoff and managed to escape the tackle. Picked up quite a big chunk of yards.
This young, they frankly think they're indestructible, Jake.
It's nice when you have a little bit of, you know, spontaneity like that. You don't really expect that to happen. Okay, so let's give up one of the tight ends, or let's give up the tight end and go 3 wide. And
The Aggies have a first.
cross some routes on the left side of the field.
Number 4 lines up under center. Number 4 steps back. He's pressured. Throws. Flag on the play.
Flag. Pass interference, maybe?
Pass interference. Defense.
Okay, so we get a free first down here.
Number 27 crossed way over from trying to block the pass to physically disrupting the receiver, and that's pass interference.
The Aggies will have the first down off the penalty. Number 27 gets set after
See if
committing-
34 can smash it in.
Gets a block.
And I notice they get into the backfield so easily sometimes. Okay,
It's second and goal.
let's go for a pass.
Number 4 drops back. He's pressured.
Throw it.
Throws.
Perfect. That went exactly as planned.
Number 4 makes a solid pass to his man for the score. Let's watch that again.
Norris.
Points.
The D may have been expecting the run there and weren't quite as vigilant as they should have been against the pass.
I just noticed my quarterback's first name starts with C. Who's to say that's not Chuck Norris? All right, let's get this extra point.
Number 13 lines up for the point.
Can we make an extra point?
It's up.
Yes, we do.
Team is good for the extra point.
It's ridiculous.
Texas A&M puts up the first points of the game. They lead 7-0.
8 plays, 61 yards, 2 minutes, 19 seconds.
Number 13 is back to kick it away.
How's it going, Patrick?
Got his leg behind this
Happy
one.
Tuesday to all.
Number 30 fields it in the end zone. The 20
Another rainy day here in College Station.
tackle on the return.
A lot of the games have been rainy. Right in time for a TD. That's true.
Passing game has not been pretty today.
That's the second time we've been in the red zone.
Hope that they can get something going.
First time I decided to go for a field goal, and to no surprise, we missed it.
Ball at the 24-yard line.
And this time we managed to not have to go for it on 4th down. So, got that touchdown.
Number 2 from the gun. He's pressured.
Oh, is this going to be a sack?
Number
Yes,
30
sir.
takes him down and will get credit for the sack.
We get a little bit of an easier opponent today. We got Baylor, and Baylor is 2-6. And Iowa State actually, I think, is now ranked about number 11 in the country, and their record went up from 6-1 to 7-1. So we can't feel too bad about that loss. Seems like they're going to be going places this season. And believe it or not, we're still in the top 15, so plenty of hope there. Throws it, hits the ground.
Where was that pass going? Those two were not on the same page at all.
Gonna go green, so that's 3 wide. Let's go nickel. And
It's now 3rd and 12.
yeah,
The Bears.
we're number 14 in the
Number 2 will
SCS standings, which I think is just this game's version of the BCS,
on the play.
Well, they got some positive yardage.
because I guess they couldn't license the BCS. And then we're like 13 in media and 14 in coaches. So we're up there. We fell from number 9 though, so but it's plenty of time to climb back.
3 and out.
Need the defense to set the tone today. Offense has to do their job.
Number 31 fields it.
Yep, defense so far is pitching a shutout
The tackle on the return.
to make a cross-sport reference, as we all like to do.
I'll tell you what, if they can score again before the half, it really gives them the psychological edge going into the locker room.
See, we still have a minute. Let's keep one running back. Let's try something long.
The clock reads 1:26. Number 4 from the gun dumps it off.
Number 3 catches that one, good.
The hit.
They threw that one over the middle from the gun and complete the pass for a nice
And things will be gravy. Yeah, that is the plan.
Ball on the 49.
Mr. Chuck Norris here.
Sit this play out.
The game doesn't generate a first name, only a first initial.
In short.
The runner didn't get very
And it just so happens to be C, so
yard or less. But this O-line is really getting pushed around
we're
early.
going to nickname him Chuck
It's
Norris.
going to be a long day for their running backs.
3rd and 1. Can we get 1 yard?
3rd and 1. Well, the time won't
MLB BTS pick for 2023 says, "Hello there, mate. I'm new on the channel.
will carry it in. It'll
Well, welcome to Gridiron Live. We like 80s, 90s, early 2000s, retro sports, nostalgia, retro gaming, all that stuff. We didn't get it, but it's 4th down. So I'm going to go ahead and take a chance here.
They're going for it on 4th and 1. Four from the gun. Spirals it left. Huge
We caught it, but time runs out.
down. Good play call, terrific execution, and that will keep the drive alive. It's the end of the first half. Texas A&M is currently enjoying the lead by a small margin.
So how are you? I'm good.
Number 4,
Doing just fine this Tuesday afternoon.
4th down. Watch how this man operates.
But here in College Station, it's a little bit rainy, as you can tell.
Jim, they get
So far, things are going okay against Baylor. Can I ask you something, gang? Go right ahead. Just don't be weird. Do you play sports game? I think it's pretty obvious. I think it's pretty obvious. On the internet. No. Are we getting the halftime bug here? I think we might have gotten the halftime bug. Like basketball or baseball? Have you heard of MLB Play? No, I have no idea what that is. Yeah, Patrick, I think we got the halftime bug here. Which means I don't think there's anything we can do about that. We have to simulate to the end. And wow, Baylor beats us by 3 points. Good times. I didn't know this game was buggy like that. Okay, so I guess we take another L thanks to the robust nature of NCAA 2K3. What's the next game? I'll have to play half of this one. Oklahoma. Jesus. And we're going to go to Norman for this one. It's fun game, also free.
Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma. It's week 12 in Division 1A college football. Races are really heating up. Jake Sorensen along with Jim Pepper.
Yeah, I'm a little picky with sports games.
I think you're going to probably see them come
And the
out
farther
because
past
they know they have an upper
the farther past you go from 2000 after 2005, I kind of just the more weary I am.
Texas A&M is their opponent today.
Look, it's raining again.
Jake, you've got to feel sorry for the defense today, as they're looking to get run over by the opposition. Boy, if they don't dig deep and pull out their A game.
Patrick says he plays baseball simulation games as well.
Thanks, Jim. Let's head down to the field for the coin toss.
Well, actually, I mean, as I've said before, I do plan on doing a new franchise in All-Star Baseball 2005. That game lets you start a new franchise and then, you know, do your franchise mode. And it's not really because I'm a fan of baseball, it's just I kind of like older sports games in general. So at some point in the near future, we'll be getting to All-Star Baseball. Seems like it has a good enough coach mode in that game. Patrick says that he works a lot, so he can only game casually for the most part. Yeah, that is true. Busyness kind of limits your time.
Number 40 fields it deep. Number 29 makes the tackle on the return.
Although pretty much all of us play casually, you know. I can't say that we really take it all that seriously.
Let's see what they do.
Unless you're like competing online or something or in tournaments.
Ball at the 28-yard line.
Okay, what's happening here? I don't see Mr. Norris. Looks like, do we have an injury?
Number 2 from the gun dumps it off. The pass is incomplete.
I think we do have an injury.
Was open over the middle. No excuses for not getting a completion there.
Go Aggies, or as we say, gig 'em. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in this game.
Ball on the 28.
Just for that halftime bug. That sucks. It's happened twice so far. It happened in the first game, and then it happened
Rules it middle. That'll bring up third and long.
last game.
Led his man by far too much there. With a field this slick, there's no way a receiver can make up that kind of ground.
All right, it's 3rd and 10. We're gonna have to go spaghetti routes, I think. Oh, I'm so dumb. I'm on defense. That makes a lot more sense.
3rd and 10.
Because they had the the red tops. I thought I was on offense. Yikes.
Sooners line up with their tight end right.
That makes a lot more sense.
Number 2 from the gun.
I was like, who is this guy?
Is chased out of the pocket. Throws. That'll bring up 4th and long.
Number 89 was there over the middle, but it was incomplete.
Well, he should have had that.
The quarterback has
Get the ragu going.
depend on his tight end as a
Yeah.
safety valve. They've got some work to do.
I was so busy talking, I thought I was on offense, picking offensive plays. But I was on defense. So now we're going to get the ball.
Number 87 is ready to punt after a quick 3 and out. It's away. Number 31.
So back in the early 2000s, for some reason,
As far as he got there in a hurry and put the return man on the turf.
the athletic department or the athletic director, somebody decided that it was a good idea to switch the color of the face masks to maroon. And I was never quite a fan of that.
Well, the defense did their job and
They only had it for a couple years,
offense's turn.
but it just didn't look right. It wasn't the right accent for the maroon helmet. Let's go start things off on the ground.
Number 34 with the ball.
Big run by 34 for 8 yards.
This O-line has been opening up some nice holes in the middle these past few plays. That's why I like that last run. Keep attacking the center of the line until they can stop you.
But A&M has had a
It's 2nd and 2.
couple colors for face masks over the years.
Number 34.
I think in the
Behind the quarterback.
it's usually gone from white
He takes
to
it out
gray,
for a nice little 5-yarder.
back to white,
They ran the exact
and then
same
maroon for a couple years, and then back to white.
Well, they gotta catch
And
up
then
in that.
starting in 2012, they went back to gray because they were kind of going for the 70s style uniforms. So they had the twin stripes
Is lined up behind the quarterback.
down the arms and the gray face masks that they had in the 70s.
This is getting ridiculous, Jake.
And then they went back to the white face mask.
Games in a row and found success each time.
I think most people would agree,
Not catch on.
and it's what I believe, that the white face mask is the best.
Ball at the 48-yard line. Number 34.
Need 34 to have a good game.
The quarterback.
Yeah, in recent games, they've really been getting into the backfield quickly, just like that.
Into him and stop that play dead in the backfield. Nice job.
Okay, let's go for a pass here. I do like this play when we're on the left side of the field.
3rd and 4. The Aggies line up with their tight end left. Number 4 drops back. He's pressured. Dumps it right.
We got it.
A gain of 15.
They toss this one right side. And
I just think it should match the team with face mask color or the OG white. I mean, there's different teams that, their iconic uniforms have different colors. So it's not that it's specifically one color over the other. It's just
36.
what's more iconic. I think the maroon and white helmets are the most iconic for A&M.
Number 97.
And
Tackle. That's
typically, a uniform that's iconic,
They really showed their speed by
I think a good way to define it is that, what's,
daylight to cut to.
some time in the team's history when they were having, a level of success. Those years become memorable, and, I think that's when you have iconic or memorable uniforms. And A&M's height was really in the 80s and 90s, and they had a simple maroon and white uniform, maroon helmets, white face mask, and so for A&M, I think that's what's iconic. And they've had different uniform styles over the years, but just the simplicity and I just think their uniforms were best in the 80s and 90s. And back in 2018, they did a 1998 retro uniform, which I think was really cool. And it really wasn't that special. It was this, the specific shade of maroon that they had back in 98. And
Number 13, first quarter lead. Penalty marker down on the plate. Let's listen to the call.
and they made the uniforms look like they had like the mesh holes in them, which I thought was really cool. They obviously didn't have the mesh holes, but it was they made the pattern on the jersey look like it, which I thought was pretty cool. And honestly, I wish those specific uniforms were their permanent uniforms. Just make them like they were back in 1998. But they ended up doing a sort of updated version of that, so they went back to the white face masks.
Number 40 makes the catch. Number 23 forces him out of bounds on the return.
80s and 90s look sure, but the equipment is better now.
This drive will start out.
Well, yeah, the equipment technology is better. But if you think about it, there's
Ball at the 26-yard line.
I'm not really talking about the equipment. Although I do think the actual equipment is part of that sort of older look.
Wide receiver.
But even without it, you still have the specific color schemes, the patterns, and everything.
As they just creamed the runner in the backfield. Big stop on first down.
Seems like helmets have gotten bigger or thicker for some reason. I look at some of these players and their helmets just look huge. Which I guess is to help with impact, but you can really see a drastic difference.
Ball on the 22.
A drastic difference if you go as far back as like the 60s. You can really see a difference in the size of the helmets. The equipment stands out with the retro look. It's cool. Yeah, I mean, in 2018, they didn't have. I mean, it was their same equipment. It was just they just tried to replicate the uniform pattern as close as possible with the ones they had in '98. Let's go 4-4.
It's 3rd and 2. Number 89.
So those uniforms were really cool.
Number 2 will put it in the air again. Gets a block. Throw.
Ah, dang it.
Bring him down after a big gain. That's a huge play on 3rd and short.
They went with the play action right side and completed for a healthy gain. More importantly, however,
They're going to go yellow, which is 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs.
Ball at the 49-yard line.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of...
Number 29 will sit this play out. Number 2 from the gun tosses right.
I'm not a fan of modern uniform designs, typically. Just because people are obsessed with like gradients and like two-tone colors and chrome helmets and like really saturated colors, the black alternates, the gray alternates, all that kind of stuff. I'm not a big fan of that.
It's second and about 3.
I also don't really like logos that are like low contrast and cover like the entire helmet.
2 drops back. He's pressured, sits in the pocket.
Not a big fan of that either.
A gain of 17.
I like it when you can just clearly see the logo design.
He connects with his receiver with ease. He sees his man and then airs it out for the completion.
Now they're really in sync there, able to depend on each other as the play unfolds.
The band is going off. Yeah, Patrick, I'm not on offense. I'm sure you realize that by now. But yeah, the Oklahoma band is going crazy.
Ball on the 27. Number 81 is wide right. Number 2 will throw once again. Oh, great block. Throws.
Yikes. I was going to make that one.
Scores.
Alternate jerseys are to drive up revenue.
Number 9.
Yeah, but you look at teams, you know, all the powerhouse teams, the real powerhouse teams,
Take it to 6 and
like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State. How many alternate jerseys do they have? You know, little to nothing, especially Alabama. They have 2 uniforms. They have home and away, and that's it. You know, and
lines up for the point after.
they just, you know, they just had a dynasty for the last, 10 years. We may still be in the Alabama dynasty, not sure. We'll have to see in the next couple of years.
On the extra point.
Right now, Georgia's on top. But Georgia, same thing. They have their uniforms. It's not like Oregon where they,
7-0.
have 8 million alternates, and they have no visual identity. It's kind of like a branding guide. If you've ever seen a branding guide, you have, these are the colors you can use. These are the font styles. The logo can only be in such a way,
We're ready for the kick.
and all that is to have these kind of guidelines to create a consistent image and a brand.
Number 31 catches it in the end zone.
And I mean, I get it. It's like a trend. It's a new trend.
On the return.
I just think that specific trend is kind of silly.
They place the ball
But that's just what I believe.
right there, and they bring him down there.
You want them to have to chew up a ton of yards to get within scoring range.
And hey, if the defense can hold them to 3 and out, the offense could have some nice field position. This game is still within reach, and the offense would like nothing more
Georgia.
than to respond back with 6 points of their own.
Yeah, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, all of them have
Ball at the 18-yard line.
they have their uniform style, and that's it.
He's pressured. Throws.
They don't need, big catch by the tight end there. They don't need to have 1,000 alternates and have chrome helmets, and
Number 4 throws into double coverage like it's no biggie.
that's another thing that I'm also not really quite a fan of is having like these one-time use uniforms. Like last year, I think Navy had like a NASA uniform. And it was hideous. It was just downright hideous. They had like this, very detailed graphics, and like it was just way too much detail on the helmet. And it wasn't the Navy colors. And I get that it's a special occasion. It's just, I mean, maybe if they didn't make them so hideous. But just in general, I think it's kind of silly. If it's just like a patch or something, I think patches are cool. Fine, whatever. But to make a uniform for just a single occasion, I don't know. I just think it's a bad look. Maybe once a year you could fit. Maybe once a year you could if it was throwback jerseys, but I tend to like the OG jerseys more as well, just making a point for alternates, financially speaking. Well, A&M they were kind of starting to get into that a little bit under Kevin Sumlin. I thought the sort of neo 70s jerseys that they started using in 2012 were pretty cool. I especially liked their uniforms when they played LSU in 2012. It's just, maroon helmet, gray face mask, maroon jersey, and maroon pants. And they had the really bold, like, double stripe down the arm. And I think a single stripe down the leg. Or they might have had two stripes, I can't remember. But definitely two stripes on the shoulders. And it was just a really cool, solid maroon with a white accent look. And I really like that. So they kind of took an older uniform and they kind of made it look a little bit newer, which I did appreciate that. But then they started wearing like black uniforms and then like matte finish uniforms. Nice catch. Then they wore what I call the Dr. Pepper uniform because of the gray and the maroon. It was like the exact colors of the Dr. Pepper logo. And then they had a uniform that was supposed to be like the 1939 uniform. So they tried to make it look a little bit like some of the Leatherhead style uniforms back in the day, which I thought was alright. It didn't look that great, but I would prefer that over wearing black alternates. And then they made this hideous uniform. It was an all-white uniform. The numbers were like this silver color. It was like slightly different than the white of the jersey. And so basically all the accent colors were this like silvery color, including the numbers, the name, and the logo on the helmet. It was just awful. It was one of the worst uniforms I'd ever seen in my life. And somebody somewhere thought this was a good idea. And then, God, it was just awful. And then once Kevin Sumlin was relieved of his duties, Jimbo Fisher got in there and, they've had one alternate uniform, and that was the 1998 retro uniform, which didn't look that different from their existing one. But I think it's just a difference in and mindset. Jimbo Fisher is a little bit more traditional. Kevin Sumlin is more trendy. You know, Kevin Sumlin had the sideline props and the dancing and all that kind of stuff. The music at practice, all that stuff. Jimbo Fisher, complete opposite. None of that.
Third and 10.
Jimbo Fisher has been mentioned a bit in here. Gonna check his history out.
Number 4 from shotgun.
Jimbo Fisher previously was the head coach of the Florida State Seminoles, and he won a national championship in 2014, and he had a few double-digit win seasons. So fairly, oh, there we go. That was clutch.
Number 13 lines up for the point after.
And I think he was a coach under Bobby Bowden, the great Bobby Bowden, at Florida State. I think he was a coach with Nick Saban. Don't miss that.
He missed it.
God, he missed it.
I can't believe they missed that extra point. Hope that won't come back to bite.
Jesus. What's new?
Texas A&M
I think he was a coach under Nick Saban
down by the score of 7.
at LSU. I think he was also a quarterbacks coach at Sanford, I think. A few places.
Kick this one away. Good kick here.
Yeah, we missed that field goal, that extra point.
Number 40 fields it. 20, the 25, number 82 comes in and makes the tackle on the return.
They may have found something with the pass on their prior drive. Let's see if they stick with it and keep airing it out.
Ball at the 28-yard line.
Yeah, the kicker.
The Sooners go with one man back.
Kicker's an idiot.
Number 34 with the carry.
He must need glasses or something.
What it takes to stop
Give the guy some glasses, please.
and that's exactly what we saw on that play, baby.
2014 national title, yep. And there's already people that want him gone. You know,
Ball on the 27.
typical fair weather fans that just want a revolving door at the head coach position.
Number 2
It's
from the
like,
gun. Number
man.
2 on the rollout. Throws left. The pass is no good. Incomplete.
Number 9 got to the outside like he wanted, but then
What you need most is stability.
capitalize on it.
People just want to go through a bunch of coaches, but I don't think they stop and realize that it's silver. They don't stop and realize that
Third and 10.
there's just not that many great coaches. That's not to say anything bad about all the other ones.
Number 2 will throw once again.
It's just,
Oh, great block. Tip.
you know, it's just the way it goes. You know, there's only a small amount of really elite coaches.
Still, the catch didn't come to pass.
I guess being open isn't always enough.
The most abundant kind of coach is a mediocre coach. And that's true for every other profession. And it's not to say anything bad against the average guy. It's just, you know, you give up someone and then
7 will punt it away.
you don't know where you're going to end up later. And you just have this constant revolving door of
He really got a hold of
disappointment.
this. Number 31 catches it. Number 35 makes the tackle on the return.
You need stability, you need culture, you need tradition.
Number 4 was the contributor for his team's last
People just
drive.
want to
Let's see what he does this time out.
They just want to blow through coaches. It's like that's not a good way to set that up.
Ball at the 30-yard line.
Diva fans, fair weather fans. There are those out there for sure. There's a lot of them.
Number 4 from shotgun. Gets a block. Throw. He's tackled and
There are plenty of those. Bills Mafia is a good group. Glad to be a Buffalo fan.
Number 80 makes a great catch despite being in a zone.
They might fire McDermott if the Bills don't win this upcoming year.
How he reeled that in, I'll never understand.
why he got that pass.
And I get, you know,
There were 3 guys covering.
there have to be consequences and there has to be a way to change things up when
I do. Almost.
things aren't going the way they want. Right? You can't be stagnant either. But I think there's a big difference between having stability and then being stagnant. People want results in like 2 years,
Number 80 winds up.
and they envy
Number 4.
coaches that have success in their first year.
Short throw down the middle. The pass ball's incomplete.
Number 4 was fortunate there. He threw that one right in
A lot of coaches that have success their first year, you know, it
Step in and pick it off.
might just be an anomaly. They'll probably get fired 3 years later because they couldn't keep it up.
Second and 10.
The example that I always give
Number 4 drops back. He's pressured. Sits in the pocket. Throw. Flag on the
is,
play. Let's get the call.
since we're playing as A&M,
Holding.
in 1981, I believe,
Number 71 draws an obvious
A&M hired
offensive holding.
Jackie Sherrill
Does the guy not realize
away from
black and white stripes are
the
paid
Pittsburgh
for
Panthers.
shenanigans like that? Hello?
The Pittsburgh Panthers, I think they had gone like 11-1 like 2 or 3 times in a row, right? They were on the cusp of a national title
32-yard line.
several years in a row. And then somehow A&M
Number 71 gets set after committing the penalty.
lured away Jackie Sherrill.
On the gun. Oh, great block. Short throw to the right.
So Jackie Sherrill's
Takes him down after a medium
first 2 seasons, he had 5 wins.
Play, but they're still looking at third.
The third season, he had 6 wins. Now, if you have 3 years in a row, and all of them are about 5 or 6 wins,
Third and 14.
there's no question that Jackie Sherrill would have been fired in today's world.
Number 4.
It's like 3 years, 3 strikes, you're out. Bye.
He closes in and makes
But A&M believed, or at least hoped,
They dumped it out right from the shotgun.
maybe blindly, in Coach Jackie Sherrill.
Problem is they're still short of the first down, and they'll have to make a decision.
Now, by year 3,
coming up.
A&M, they had finished the season with 6 wins, but the difference was that they had beat their rival, Texas, that year.
on 4th and 3. They're going to go for it. Number 83.
I don't think I want to go for it.
He is wide right. Texas A&M was running out of
Um,
time and couldn't get the play
So
off.
the season finished kind of on a high note, kind of like on a turning point. And then the following 3 years, they won the Southwest Conference 3 years in a row. And, you know, double-digit wins, 9 wins. And then there was some controversy towards the end of the 80s, and then Jackie Sherrill resigned.
104 on the game clock. Number 20 will punt for the second time.
Jackie had no chance, only winning 5 or 6 a year. Today, guarantee. Marino went to Pitt. Yeah, but Jackie Sherrill recruited Dan Marino.
40 fields it deep. Number 23 makes the stop on the return.
So,
They had him sewn up tight, almost allowing no time.
and it's,
There's the hit. That's
I mean,
the head
I guess every place has their metric on how they want to judge the performance of a coach. You know, I get that if, you know, a school or a program expects to be elite, the coach isn't elite by year 2 or 3, that they would want someone else. I get that. But at the same time, I think that you really need to give not just coaches time, you need to give the program time. And I guess the difference is that, you know, some places just don't afford themselves that patience. They want to be, you know, somewhere new in 2 or 3 years. And I don't like that. I think by year 4 or 5, if they're not at least, I think if by year 3, for example, you know, Jackie Sherrill. Oh man, they're going to score here. Jackie Sherrill by year 3, I mean, it looked, you know, nowhere near what they expected. And he was winning, you know, 11 games at Pitt, and now he can't even win 6. So by year 3, you know, he has a good game against Texas, and it feels like there's some kind of change going on. If he hadn't have won that Texas game, would he have been fired? I don't know, maybe not. But the point is that there was something that happened. You know, they beat Texas, which is a big deal. And that was the sign, I would think. Like, if I had to make the decision and I see 3 years of mediocrity, it's like, okay, did we make a mistake in hiring this guy? Is there some kind of change, some kind of turning point that we can look at in year 3 that is going to indicate that, you know, we're starting to go somewhere? Because even though Jackie Sherrill only won 5 or 6 games, A&M's previous seasons weren't much better. They couldn't really say a lot in the first place. The Detroit Lions are a good job nowadays with Dan Campbell. They're giving him a real shot, I believe. He's improved that team every year, and the Lions will be good pretty soon. If not a playoff team this upcoming season. Have to win, I guess. That's the name of the game in sports with the Jackie situation. Yeah, you definitely have to win. But my point is that you don't want to end up like the Cleveland Browns, for example. That's just a you know, I don't really know if they're dysfunctional, but they look dysfunctional because aside from, you know, recent years, you know, they're constantly changing quarterbacks, constantly changing coaches. It's just over and over and over and over again. Because, you know, we're not winning, so change it up. We're not winning, so change it up. But it's more than just the change. It's not just who's there. It's everything. It's the structure. It's everything else. It's like, of course you want a good coach. You want good players, but I think it's more than that.
Second and 18. The Aggies have their tight end to the left.
Even though he failed earlier on.
Number 4 from the gun. He's pressured. Keeps dropping.
Well, I don't know if he failed, but it was definitely not great performance.
That's right, Jim. On that play, play. He let his man by
But yeah,
too much.
You know, you've got to get the ball right to your man in this kind of weather. Of course, this kind of
3rd and 18.
really hard to get it right to your man.
He's
3rd and 18.
culture is a real thing. That is true.
Will pass again. He's pressured. Rose.
Oh, nice. Too bad time runs out.
To move the chains on a very long 3rd down.
Number 4 makes a really nice throw here in tight man-to-man coverage. Watch, right by the defender.
Good coverage, Jim. How hard is
But there's a lot of.
it like that?
Well, I don't think you could have done any better.
Here's another good example.
The end of the
There's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of
14-6.
prestigious teams. I'm thinking of like the Florida Gators, for example. They have a lot of prestige, a lot of legacy. Or Auburn, for example. Those teams have been doing, you know, not even getting to like 6 or 7 wins.
Will kick it away to start the 3rd quarter.
I would say that's considered mediocrity.
It's off.
Um,
31 catches it.
but they're looking for that coach. They want that coach.
Number 35.
Somebody might,
On the return.
do okay, 6, 7, 8 wins in their 1st or 2nd year.
Jake, this has been a
As
very
soon as something goes wrong, they're like, all right, my finger's on that button to fire.
put up a score here.
And then they fire them. On the other hand, you look at a team like Oklahoma State. You have, what's his name? Mike Gundy was the coach. Mike Gundy has been the head coach of Oklahoma State since, I don't know, 2005. He's still there.
Let's find out what it's for.
The Aggies dilly-dallied somewhat
And
rolled with the delay of game.
he's never done horribly. He's had some pretty good seasons. I think he's had double-digit win seasons. And it's a team that is never out. They're up, they're down, but they're never out. Certain programs would think, oh, we need to be a lot better than this. So they would have fired Mike Gundy.
3 wideouts on the field. Number 4 from shotgun. He's
Oklahoma State,
a gain of 8.
they're not the best team ever. Certainly not the worst team ever.
Advantage it is when you can get good
But I think
positive
because
yards on
of
first down.
that consistency, that structure, that stability, with a decent coach, has made them to where they're not going to be one of these teams that's like
Second and about
7-5 one year, and then 1-9 the other year, or whatever it is.
3 will sit this play out. Number 4 fades back. He's pressured. Dumps it right.
And I think that's a good thing.
Is really having his spirits dampened.
Auburn has nice colors. Speaking of jerseys, after Cam Newton, they settled down, and wow, they fire a lot.
Perhaps, guys, it's time to fall back on the old running game.
Yeah. Auburn's another good example. It's another good example because I think in 2012 they still had Gene Chizik.
Spirals it middle.
Lucky catch there. They still had Gene Chizik.
Grab of the day.
And I could be wrong about this, but I think Gene Chizik was
Number 4
the guy who coached Cam Newton. I can't remember. I might be wrong.
Ball to his receiver. Unbelievable. The only thing this kid
Um,
misses is his mama.
But they had a pretty abysmal season in 2012. So they got rid of him. Next year they have Gus Malzahn. And then Gus Malzahn did pretty well. I want to say he even competed in a national title game.
Ball at the 50-yard line.
Gus Malzahn, and then he kind of hovers around 8 or 9 wins.
Number 80
Then they fire him.
to the left.
And
Number 4 from the gun. Short throw to the left.
Forget who's there, who was there now. I think they have Hugh Freeze now, but before that, can't remember the guy's name. The guy they fired suddenly.
Number 21 makes what could be the defensive highlight of
So it's just like an up and down mess, I think.
man between the runner and the goal.
With the touchdown play at stake, he took care of business and made the big
Rare to have the same coach since 2005. Good for Gundy. Yeah, and I don't know how common that used to be to have, consistent coach for, 5+ years. Nowadays 5 years is considered long term.
on the 44.
There's some coaches that stay at programs for, decades.
Number 4 will put it in the air again. Spirals it left. It'll be third down.
Number 4 thought he had a good
And I
read,
think it's
but
because,
such great zone
I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, but I think part of it is
Zone, but it was effective.
yeah, give that defender a pat on the
teams are always looking for greener pastures. My point is just that
Three.
there's no guarantee,
The Aggies.
and it's probably unlikely that there are greener pastures.
He's pressured.
Sometimes, you win that lottery and you get it.
2 in a row.
Number 21
I gotta go
positioned
for it
himself
here.
perfectly to act as a human fence between the quarterback and the receiver and cause the incompletion. Very impressive.
On 4th and 3, they're going to go for it.
So there's no guarantee of that greener pasture. And it's probably not going to be there. And sometimes you do get lucky.
Tosses right. The pass falls
Crap.
incomplete, and they'll have to turn the ball
You do get lucky and you find someone, but that's the exception.
This would have given them a
That's like finding Nick Saban.
He blows the catch here. Oh,
Everybody wants to find Nick Sabans, but they're not out there.
That's gotta be frustrating.
They're just not.
That stopped short. That's a tough call. What do you think?
tough call is
You want a decent coach that can pull you through the storm, that can weather the storm, that can go
for a touchdown.
through the good times and the bad. You don't want these guys that are good for, 1 or 2 years and then you get rid of them. If your coaches are disposable, your program is disposable. That's how I see it.
Ball at the 44-yard line.
Your players are disposable. If your coaches are disposable, your program is disposable. You want loyalty. You want longevity.
Nice block. Number 26 makes the tackle to hold them to a short gain of a few.
The owners always need a scapegoat, and you can't get rid of all the players, so the coach gets the axe. Fickle fans and owners are the reason coach can't show their true potential in some states. Yeah, there's probably a level of truth to that. Needing a scapegoat,
It's
but
second and about 7.
I don't know who
The Sooners have one man back.
the simple-minded people that need a scapegoat. Like, don't people realize that what a scapegoat is? You'd think they would. It's like the factors that decide the outcome of sports team is just so much more complex than just the guy that drives it. The guy that drives it is very important, but the variation in outcomes is so much more complex.
Number 34.
And perspective really, really matters.
Lateral.
Almost got him there.
They get to him and bring him down, but he's
Texas is whipping Baylor.
Number 34 was a little shaky.
I'm going to drop under 500 thanks to the halftime bug, because I'm pretty sure I could have won that Baylor game.
hit me harder than that when I said darn.
Hey, didn't your grandpa
Yeah, fickle fans, fair weather fans. There's a lot of names for them. Summer soldiers, a little bit more intense. People that come out when the sun is out but leave when it's rainy and uncomfortable. Get him.
Throws right.
Jesus.
But not before he records his 4th grab of this game. Ball at the 19-yard line. Number 9 lines up left.
And I think A&M has a stronger fan base than most places.
Tosses middle.
But, you know, just like anywhere else, it has its fair weathers.
Nice pickup on first down.
You know, sports, people can be really irrational about sports.
Outstanding protection for this quarterback.
And
He's had plenty of time to sit back and pick and choose his targets at will.
Number 81 is to the left.
it's just weird, you know, me being a little bit more analytical. I see that, I think.
Number 26 makes that tackle his 4th.
Jake,
I'm not as, you know, caught up in the emotional aspect of sports. I'm more so interested in the strategy, the tradition, that kind of thing. The meaning of it and all that stuff. But people get really emotional, which is bizarre. Emotional and angry and stuff. It's just... Come on, can we get this guy? 4th and 1, thank you.
Just past the line for a very short gain. Nice play.
We need to hold him to 3.
But he tried to go somewhere else and look.
Are they going to go for it?
All about following your blockers.
Doesn't look like it.
It will be a 27-yard attempt.
Please miss this. And this guy's hitting 70%. I think my kicker's made 1 field goal out of like 11 attempts.
There's the kick.
We got that one.
And the kick is good. He's automatic from that range and puts 3 on the board.
Number 98 delivers the goods under tough conditions. Splits.
Oklahoma makes it a 2-score game. They are now up 17-6. Number 98.
Well, so far in our fictional college football season, staying pretty true to
Number 34
to what happened. In the early 2000s, A&M was
on the return.
a pretty weak team. I think it was like 2001, I think, that they fired R.C. Slocum, who is objectively A&M's best coach ever. I think he had a 6-6 season. There were some offensive questions, and I don't know the whole story, but the point is they got rid of him. They got a guy by the name of
Number 4.
Danny Francione.
Throw. They made the tackle, but he was able to get his
I think he coached at Arkansas State for a little bit. I think he might have been the coach at Alabama for a while. They thought he was a kind of a young up-and-coming coach.
about 3.
Need 2 touchdowns. The kicker can't do it.
The 3rd quarter. Oklahoma is currently in control of this game. They lead
Yeah, that's
their
wild
opponent
about the kicker.
17-6.
And Danny Francione, people were kind of hopeful about him because he's new. They didn't really know what to expect. And
Ball at the 24-yard line.
really that era was
Number 80.
not a very good era. A lot of losing seasons.
Short throw down the middle.
The height of
Short.
Number 4 thought his receiver
the height of Coach Fran's
You've got to
career was really 2006, 2007. Because he actually assembled a pretty good roster of players. Players like Reggie McNeil and what's his name? Stephen McGee.
Third and about 3. Number 4.
Believe it or not, they did offer him an extension in 2007 because he beat Texas 2 years in a row, and Texas was a pretty decent team at the time. Certainly ranked. But Coach Fran, I don't know if he resigned or if they fired him. But there was this scandal about this website that he had.
Number 80 is to the left.
And the website provided
Number 4
kind of like,
dumps it left.
it provided information on players like
And takes him down after a handful of yards.
injuries, practice stuff, different things like that. Basically betting information. And apparently this coach ran it. And so they ended up getting rid of him because of that. And to replace him, they got
Second and 4. The Aggies line up in shotgun formation.
Mike Sherman,
Number 4
which you'd probably know him from Green Bay.
Number 80
God dang it.
was the intended receiver on that play, incomplete.
Number 80 really didn't have a chance at it. That ball was way over.
Mike Sherman was a really good evaluator of talent.
Just a little early.
And there were, some promising games in the Mike Sherman era. And I'm kind of conflicted because
Third and 4.
I mean, he had really good people on his staff. He had
Number 4 from the gun.
he had Dat Wynn as a linebackers coach.
He's pressured. Throw.
Dat Wynn was, arguably A&M's best defensive player they've ever had. Certainly their best linebacker they've ever had.
Take a look at the protection on this play.
And Dat Wynn ended up leaving
Time in the pocket to find an open guy. Then he delivers.
when they kind of
Stickers to the boys up front, though. They really gave him air
the
protection.
the process by which they fired Mike Sherman maybe wasn't the best because it was a bit of a surprise to him. And they ended up getting Kevin Sumlin. So I'm a little bit conflicted on
Ball at the 45-yard line.
if Kevin Sumlin or Mike Sherman would have done better.
Number 3 will sit this play
It's
out.
tough to say.
Number 4 fakes
Because once Johnny Manziel left,
to the right. Incomplete.
and once Cliff Kingsbury left,
Play that makes the entire team.
Kevin Sumlin really wasn't that much. He never had a losing season. But also keep in mind that the SEC also played a lot of cupcake games, so those 8-win seasons are pretty padded with games like Nicholls State and all that kind of crap.
On the 45.
So without those easy games, Kevin Sumlin really wasn't that much.
Throw again. Tosses left.
Hate to say it.
Number 21 managed to cut off the line from the
Didn't know Mike Sherman was the coach. Yeah, he was the coach at A&M for
pass defense.
2 or 3 years, I think.
Getting to the receiver.
He's the one who made Ryan Tannehill a quarterback. Tannehill was a wide receiver first. Let's get some spaghetti in here. Spaghetti routes.
Third and 10. Number 4 from shotgun. Number 4.
Here comes the blitz. Oh, nice. Wide open.
He's tackled, but he's past the sticks for the first down. Big third and long conversion.
They rolled out and then dumped this one over the middle and completed for a good gain. Past the markers, and that'll get them a new set of downs.
Martellus Bennett was a
34-yard line.
pretty good NFL tight end. I think that was Mike Sherman.
Winds up.
It might have been
Number 4 will put it
Coach Fran that got him.
throw. Incomplete pass.
Number 80 swung
But he
on
certainly
the
played
lead.
during the Mike Sherman era.
Fortunately, the pass was outside his hands.
Mike Sherman is the guy who recruited Johnny Manziel. But Kevin Sumlin is the guy who started him. Once Mike Sherman had to go.
2nd and 10.
Luke Jokel, pretty good left tackle.
3rd and long coming up.
Number 98.
Spencer Neely, pretty good defensive tackle.
Either that or he was too far to the
I
left.
think he was more of a nose guard. You had
10. The Aggies.
Uzoma Wachiku, who's a wide receiver, pretty good wide receiver, at least in college.
Pulls it left. It falls
Oh, dang
incomplete
it.
again, and that's 3 in a row. Not much luck with the pass here.
Number 21 used his body as a shield to force that incompletion, and that's not as easy as he made it look. He had to make the read.
Malcolm Kennedy, those are all,
In the right position to prevent
I think Mike Evans. Mike Evans is another player that,
Complete, and they'll be forced to give the ball over on down. Jim
Mike Evans, I think, was recruited by,
stopped on 4th down. Tough to watch that.
might have been recruited by Mike Sherman. It could have been also Kevin Stallman, I think.
Jake. They're in a great
I
position
think
to
Mike Evans was playing basketball. So that could have been either one of them. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. I think this game's over.
Ball on the 34.
You want to talk hockey, soccer, or baseball? Sure, but college football, I'm not as familiar for past stuff because getting into college football the last 3 or 4 years.
nice job to take
Cool stuff with the A&M history. Didn't know Jackie scouted Marino a lot. A lot of culture in college football. Yo, whatever I do know about college football is just an extension of what I know about A&M. So if I like knowing that Dan Marino was recruited by Jackie Sherrill is because I've listened to Jackie Sherrill interviews or I've read, one of his books.
With the ball again. 3rd and about a foot.
So it all kind of springs out of
right guard, but it didn't open up like he
wanting to know about A&M.
pretty quick.
And then Mike Sherman, A&M coach, but also the coach at Green Bay and all that stuff. Once you dig deep into a single program, by the end of it, you kind of know a lot about other programs, or just something, just by extension. But I'm kind of like you, but in reverse. Soccer, baseball, hockey, not really that interested.
Nice work on 3rd down.
Beautiful run on the right side to pick up the first. He knew where he needed to be to move those markers.
Unless it's in video game format, then I'm there. The only exception to that would be soccer, because I used to play soccer willingly and unwillingly. Your parents make you do it.
Ball on the 44.
Oddly enough, I got recruited to play in a local soccer team by,
Shotgun. Dumps it right. Fumble.
oh, fumble.
The 40.
Oh, we got the ball back
Tackle
and a
but he
chance.
comes up with the turnover on the loose ball.
Well, the offense takes the field and they're hoping.
Okay, that was unexpected. I thought this game was over, and it might still be, but we're going to check this out. But yeah, I got recruited to play soccer at a local team
50 on the game clock.
by the school janitor of all places in the bathroom. I know that sounds weird. It wasn't weird. It was just happened to be where he was and where I was. He was cleaning.
Number 4.
He's like, "Hey, you want to play soccer?"
Overthrew his receiver.
I was like, "Okay." Our team sucked. We weren't even all wearing the same jerseys. It was that ghetto.
Clock is down to 1:48.
And some of the jerseys had numbers on them, but the way they put numbers on it was with tape.
That will fall incomplete, and that's their second in a row.
Number 4 was stymied by some great zone coverage there.
Yes, I knew Sherman coached Green Bay. And actually, the only reason, or the way I noticed that Mike Sherman coached at Green Bay was actually playing NFL 2K5. Because I knew Mike Sherman was the coach at A&M for a while. Then I was playing 2K5 and I saw Mike Sherman's name. I was like, oh, he's the coach at Green Bay.
Number 98 was right where he was supposed to be near the sideline, but couldn't close the deal.
Come on.
They're going for the first down on 4th and 10.
Can we capitalize on this?
Tight end left. Number 4 will pass again. He's pressured, stays in the pocket. Throw. Number 37 with the huge
We
tackle,
got it.
forces them to forfeit.
Thanks to the tight end. Oh, what?
Drive will wrap it up for him. Well, and
Oh, we can't challenge that, can we? How is this not a first down? He's forward progress. I already moved him past the line.
control of this game, they just need to pound it out and take the time off the clock.
Thanks to the Zebras.
Ball at the 27-yard line.
Have you seen the movie The Big Green?
The Sooners.
No. I've never heard of that movie. I am not familiar with that.
Stops that play in its tracks after only a
Does that have something to do with Green Bay?
Have a few there. It
Maybe.
may not look like much, but getting those early yards makes 2nd and 3rd downs immensely easier.
Second and 8.
2nd and 8. I mean, maybe we can stop them.
Number 2 from the gun. Throws. Number 23 with the tackle.
Nice pass.
Can we stop them from getting 1 yard?
A lot easier coming up here.
Third and 1.
When you said taping the jerseys, I thought of that 90s Disney soccer movie. Oh. Okay. No, I don't think I've seen that one.
Run to the outside. That's a gain of 6 and the first down.
I do have a soft spot for
More importantly, picks up the first down.
feel-good 90s movies.
Run to convert on 3rd.
90s, early 2000s. Back when Disney wasn't that bad.
Ball on the 40.
Little Giants is a good one.
Number
Need more movies like that.
Up behind the quarterback. He laterals.
Times movies are
4 makes
take themselves a little too seriously.
stop before he could get very far. Texas A&M.
It's like not every movie has to change the world, okay?
Play was drawn up to go off left tackle,
Jesus.
but he strayed too far left and his blockers were no longer there. Boy, you've got to follow the
Check it out. My wife said it's a good movie. She's in the room. Little Giants is good. Yeah, Little Giants is cool because it has Rick Moranis and it has a bunch of cameos. They literally all just get off the bus for like 5 minutes. But it's still cool that they have John Madden there.
32 seconds left.
But yeah, movies get a little too serious these days.
That'll bring up 3rd and long.
So much political crap.
Boy, they tried reversing it, but the D saw right through that ploy.
Texas A&M will take a timeout, and that will be their second.
One timeout left. Little Giants is good, yeah. She said it, I said it, we all said it. So say we all. Little Giants is a good movie. You know what's another great movie? Heavyweights.
3rd and about 7.
With what's his name? God, his name escapes me right now. Ben Stiller, the guy with the big ears.
4th and short.
And he's hilarious in that movie. He plays the
Texas A&M takes their 3rd and final
the
timeout.
tyrannical health nut that has been recruited to run this fat camp. It's hilarious. Yeah, Heavyweights is great.
Number 87.
Need more movies like Heavyweights.
3rd punt of the game. It's off. Number 31 makes the catch. Number 35.
But then again, Heavyweights probably wouldn't have been made today because, you know,
Another turn at offense.
sending your child to fat camp is an offensive thing to do.
They should just
Right.
try to get some yards for respect at this point.
If anything, it would be skinny camp where they make you fat. Because you need to accept your body image or whatever.
The Aggies have 4.
And I get that there's, you know,
Number 4
there's a good way and a bad way to
down the middle. Number 33 came up.
have any more timeouts. Okay, there's a good way and a bad way to get people to lose weight, become healthier.
The completion, but there wasn't much
But it's certainly not
Number 4 is back to throw again.
telling people
3rd down coming up.
Number
to
3
be obese, and that's fine.
suffering from this rainy weather. That time
So yeah, Heavyweights would not have been made in today's world.
The end of regulation as time runs out. Oklahoma comes out on top, 17-6. Well, folks, that's going to do it for now. As always, it's been a pleasure.
The government should be better, but that's another subject.
Next week for more of
Yeah,
the
that is a humongous can of worms. Man. Well, that's a shame. I have 9 rushing yards. Passing yards, 240. Yikes. 2 losses in a row. Well, the first loss isn't my fault. Iowa State is now 9-2, ranked number 9 or 10, and we're out of the top 15. Let's look at the coaches poll. Texas, Florida State, Purdue finally in the top 3. They were number, I think, 11 earlier. But Purdue, I think, beats Ohio State and gets into the top 3. Washington, number 7. And we are out of the top 25. Look at that, Nebraska at number 19 with 5-4. It's okay. Aggies will get them next time. Yeah, we're going to see. Idaho number 25 here. A 9-1 record. Probably not very dense though. Yeah. Depending on how often that halftime bug happens. Don't know how many seasons I'll get to play with this game just because that can really ruin the outcome of a game. So we'll see how many times it happens. If not, then I'll just switch to NCAA 98 or something. But that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next one.